Welcome back. This is going to be part 5. And today we're going to do a few things. We're going to do changing some of the textures, finishes, and then we can maybe also have a look at doing some more rendering and possibly maybe even start with the um, working drawings, things like that. But we'll see how we get on. This one I don't want to make as long as the others. We're going to try and see if we can just cut the next few a little bit shorter, because there are going to be sections that will be long just in one specific area. So let's see how we get on. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to just lower this wall. So by right clicking on it, again, I want to right click on it, and I'm just going to say lower so I can get back in. We can hide the ceiling if we want to. So by clicking on the ceiling and pressing O on my keyboard, it'll hide that for me. So now I'm ready to start work. Okay. So already from the previous one, we knew that we had to change some of the sort of stainless steel or the fridge finish. It was very, very shiny. I made the render look a little bit out of sync. So what we're going to do is, the first thing, I'm going to come across to the right hand side. I'm just going to pin my toolbar in there so it's sitting there ready to work with. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on the fridge itself. And on the material section here on the right hand side, I'm going to click on that. And I want to come right down to the bottom down here. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for us to see. So if I make that a little bit bigger, I'm going to come down over here, and it's at the moment it's on a brush steel. So I'm going to click on that. And I want to change that. This gives me the opportunity to give me the feel of what I'm looking at. So I'm on metal and I'm on this stainless steel setting. And what I actually want is, I want it to be a little bit, it's just a little bit too shiny on the brush steel. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to maybe satin. Let's finish with satin. I'm going to say OK and apply the finish. And I'm going to do the same for this here, because that was also extremely shiny. So by clicking on the hood, the extractor, I'm going to go there and I'm going to make that a satin as well. And while I'm here, I'm going to just do the sink as well. Just make sure that the sink, let's see what the sink is set up as. So we can come over here. And again, that's polished steel. So this is metal and it's chrome. But again, I don't necessarily want it polished. I'm just going to make that standard cast. Okay, so what we've done now is we've gone in and we've just changed some of the finishes so we can see what it looks like. So the tops, maybe we want to change the tops. So at the moment the tops don't have a finish, so I can come across and we can have a look here along the top and we can see what we want to do, what we want to change over. So on this particular top, I'm going to use a mineral, and I'm going to come along here and we can say granite. And I think what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to use maybe a semi-gloss just to give it that finish. So we're going to say semi-gloss. I'm going to click on there, say yes, semi-gloss. And if I click on here now, I want to make this one also. So I'm going to go to the same thing, mineral. I'm going to go to granite, and on here I'm going to make it a semi-gloss, so we can use that one. Okay, and I want to click on that one over there. We're going to do the same with this one. And I'm just wondering if we should maybe do that. Maybe do the click on the splashback. That's already a semi-gloss. Double click on that one. That's a semi-gloss, so that's fine. And let's look at these two worktops that we've got here. So now I just want to click on it. There's a semi-gloss, and this one here set up as none, because remember the ones that I've created, okay? I've got to now tell it what it is. So I'm going to go over here. We're going to go again to material. We're going to go to granite, semi-gloss, and apply. Okay. So that's all our tops that we've adjusted. The only thing I did notice in the last render that I did, I noticed that the light hadn't come through quite the way I wanted it. So what I want to do is we're going to have a look at this light over here. We're going to see if we can maybe change it. So I'm going to go and click on here. I want to go to emit, and I want to give it a light source. So I'm going to just give it a light source, and I'm just going to say, let's do it like that, gloss standard, apply it. And remember, we've got 2 here. So go down a little bit. I just want to make sure this one is also. So I'm just going to move it around. I just want to make sure I've got the right one selected. I want to go here. I want to make it emit. I want to say light source, and we're going to go standard. Now, that means it's going to now make that into a light. It's going to give us some generation of a light coming down. So what we can do is, if we go up to tools, I'm going to go to light settings, and I'm going to have a look down here. I'll put it across. It's not going to show the lighting up here. Okay, the lighting is only shown on here if I actually place a spotlight or something, which I might do in a minute. I might put a spotlight in to show you how that works. Maybe in one of these cupboards, we maybe make it a glass cupboard, like a feature cupboard, maybe this one, and we can then show you how to put a light in and make that work that way. So once I've done that, and I have noticed something here that I might want to change. You see at the back here, I've got a splash black there, but I actually don't want that splash black, so I'm going to double click on it, and I'm going to remove by deleting, because I want to show the wood. Okay, that's that one done. And the other thing we're going to do, let's change this into a glass cupboard, and we'll put some lights in just to show you how that would work. So on these here, I'm going to click on this cupboard. I've selected this whole cupboard, the 2-door cupboard. I'm going to come across to models on the right hand side. On models, I'm coming down to where it says selection. That means it's only working on this particular cupboard. It's not going to change any of my other cupboards. Where I've got the shaker groove, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to come down to say show all, and I'm going to go to glass, and I'm going to put one of these colonial glass doors in. I'm going to apply. Okay. So on this one now, it's added that, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want. The only problem is it's removed my handles because it doesn't know what I need there. So let's put our handles back in. So again, on the right hand side under knobs, I'm clicking on handles. And what I'm going to do there is I'm going to put the same handles in. So I'll say show all. I know which one it is. I could have just gone to bar and 18, but just to show you, I'm going to come down. And when we come down to 18 over here, click on that, apply, and then OK. So I've got my handles on. Now what I want to do is I want to make this whole cupboard the same color. I don't want it to be white inside. So what I can do is I can open here just so that we can see. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this even. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I want to make this all the blue. So again, what I can do is under models, with this one selected, where it says body is white, I'm just going to make that blue, the color blue. So let's go here, down here, and it's going to make the whole carcass blue, which is what I want. And now what I want to do is these shelves in here, I want to change. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, the easiest way of doing this is, yes, I can come down to my materials under catalog and go to materials, and I can look for glass. So you go down, you look for glass, and I want just a normal glass, and I go, you'll see it won't allow me, sorry, just closed. Okay, let me just pin that so it's going to be easier for us to see. You'll see that it doesn't allow me to change any of these because it's already part of the cupboard. So what I'm going to do is, the easiest way is I'm going to double click on it so I've got it selected, and I'm going to delete the shelf. And I'm going to double click on this one, and I'm going to delete the shelf. Now you might think, okay, now what I'm going to do, I've got to put shelves in, it's a pain, I've got to go back to models, now there's an easier way. If I'm clicking on my cupboard, I can come over here to where it says inserts on the right hand side, and depending on what you want, I want to put a shelf in, and I want 2 shelves, just like that. It's just going to put them in straight like that. The beauty is, by putting them in this way, if I take, let's say I wanted a frosted glass, and I go and I put it on now, it will allow me to change both those in one go. Now, what you have to just check is just make sure that the edging is done. Sometimes the edging stays the color of your edge banding. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to go on here, and I'm going to just double click on where I want to choose it. And now that whole glass, I know, is, or that whole shelf is now fully glass. Okay? Press M on your keyboard, and you're back to your select tool. Now also what I want to do is, I don't want a 16mm sheet of glass in there. So I'm going to come down to properties. I'm going to click on this glass, and where it says 16 over here, I want to make that 5mm. Okay, and I'm going to do the same with the top glass. I'm going to make that 5mm. Enter. And now we've got 2 pieces of glass inside our cupboard, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. Okay, we've got a nice glass cupboard, but now what we want to do is we want to put maybe 2 downlighters inside the cupboard. How do we go about doing that? Well, we can come over here to models, and if we go over here and we go down to decor, and we come into over here, I'm going to come down and we have a look here. Yeah, we're going to have all different types of lights, and now I could select the lights by what I'm looking for. I'm looking for some little spots, and it's going to bring in the lighting like this. Spots, let's just go back down to spots. It'll show me all the spotlights. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here, and I want to put in one of these built-in spot. This little one here will work perfectly. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to drag, and I'm just going to place it to the sort of top of that cupboard there. I'm going to let go. Now you'll see that it's brought it in, but it's not really in the right place, but that's fine. We can click on that. We're going to go to the move tool. I'm going to rotate it, and now you can actually rotate it. So depending on which way you want it to rotate, you can actually tell it what you want. Okay, so if I go back here, I've got it where I want it to be. And now what I'm going to do is I just want to move it into the sort of central area over here. So it's going to move. I'm going to move this 200, and I'm going to move it back 200. And you'll see now let's get underneath there so you can see it. It's now sitting like that, and I've got an 88. So what I'm going to do now is I want to move this up 88. So I'm going to go up, and you'll see it's gone too high for where I actually want it. I want it actually just showing underneath that panel, so that's fine. I'm going to move it down in 10 increments. Sorry, into 10. I'm going to go down, 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 and just as I see it coming through, that's exactly where I want it. In fact, I could move it up slightly, maybe 2 mil. See how that looks, so that I know I've got it exactly how I want it. There we are. So I've now got my light fitting in to how I want it. And now what I'm going to do is, from the top, I can see it's roughly where I want it. I'm just going to go to array, and I'm going to array this in that direction. And literally by just giving it an amount that I want to array it to, I can see where it's going to be. So I want that about 400. And I'm going to make that 350. That's exactly where I want it. I'm going to insert it. So basically now I've got 2 lights Let's come out of the bulkhead. I'm actually sitting in the bulkhead. I've got two lights now sitting inside. In fact, what I might do is I might move this one over a little bit. Out there. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. So now I've got my lights in, and on this cupboard I can come back down, click on the cupboard, and I'm just going to close the doors. And I've got my lights into my glass cupboard case now. Now, what I can do with this now is if I go to my light setting at the top here, you'll see that I have actually got my lights. If I highlight them, I can see over here how strong they're going to be, and I can see what type of light they are. So I can actually come over here and I can change the effect that I want. I just want a nice sort of glow effect. Maybe 13 would look quite nice. And intensity, I just want to drop it down to probably around about, let's make it about 14. Yeah, 9, 14 maybe. We'll leave it at 14. We'll do it like that. And we can close, and our lights are now preset. Okay, so that's all done. So basically what we've done now is we've put some lighting in. We've changed the feel of the worktops, the stainless steel. We've given it more of a matte finish rather than it being so glary and powerful. We've adjusted the light setting in our bulkhead, and let's now go and have a look. I'm going to minimize these. I'm going to want to bring back the ceiling, and I'm going to want to also bring back that wall in a minute. So I'm just going to say all. So my ceiling is back in. Okay, to bring the wall back, I'm just going to click on the wall, brings it back. And now when we go back to tools, and I'm going to go to my dynamic view, I'm just going to bring this in. It came on my other screen. There we are. Now that we're sitting here like this, I'm going to just come down here. I'm going to say 1, and that's already now giving me the effect of what we want to maybe render. So let's move it in maybe just like that. So now what I can do is under my render section, like we did before, I'm just going to put a position of where it's going to show me. I'm happy with that. I can now go to my render. Here, I'm going to leave it still custom the way it's set up like this, and I'm just going to say render. And in the bottom over here, you can see it's actually progressing. It's sending it up to the cloud. So it's from 0 to 5, and now it will start actually doing the render form. Already you're going to start seeing that there is light inside that cupboard. So what it is actually doing now, it's actually building in layers. So it's layering the render with all the shadows and everything else within inside it. Again, depending on how complicated your design is, or how many objects or things like that are inside it, the longer it will take, because it's going to calculate all the shadows. I'm running this at quite a large render size, which is the size of my whole screen. If you want to do a test render and you don't want to sit and wait a little bit longer for it, you can always render it at a smaller size. Get your adjustments set, and then from there you'll be able to then do your large rendering. Just want to get rid of the update for now. Now what I could do is I can minimize that while it's rendering, and I could then come back up here and I can say, right, I want to change the effect. So I want to change the position. Come over here. And I can see a little bit here. That's exactly. So if I want to render now, I can render it within that area. But let's say, for instance, while it's rendering, I want to have a look at this cupboard here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open those doors. Okay. And let's just say I wanted to put some glasses or something in there. Okay, we can do that. Let's go to my catalog. I'm going to pin it again so it stays there. Makes it easier for us to work with. And under decor, I'm going to go to kitchen. And if we maybe go down to maybe utensils, let's just do utensils, and then I want to go in here. I could go down and I could do my mugs, tableware. You'll see there's lots of different ones, glassware, so we could put some glasses in. Let's do the glasses. It's going to pull them through for us. And at any time, I can just go back and just check and see how my rendering is doing. It's doing fine. So what I want to do is I want to put some glasses in here. So let's say, for instance, I want to put these like cup 27 in. What I can do is I can come in, place the glass into situ. Once the glass is in, the trick now is you just got to be able to see where the glass is. So what I tend to do is I tend to go over like this. I'll click on the glass and then I'll move it to where I want it to be. Okay, so I will sit here and I'll say I want that glass in. I want it about there. And now I'm just going to use the array tool because I need a few. So I'm going to make another one going back. So I can just click here and see which direction it's going to go, which is fine. And I'm going to make that 40. If I go in, you'll see that it's done it. And I'll insert. Now I've got two glasses. And now what I can do is by holding my shift or my control button down, I can select both glasses. And I could group those if I wanted to. So by grouping those, I can click on them now and I can go up to array. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to array them this way. So now I can say, I go like this, let's see which way it wants us to do it. So it'll show you what it's doing. Okay. So with those ones there, if I do it that way, it's going to come this way. You can see exactly what it's doing. I'm going to do about that many, and then I'm going to tell them I need a 40 mil between. Go back up. And I can see it's probably going to be a bit tight on this side. So if I make that 5, I've now got my 5 glasses in. Say insert. It's going to place all those in for me. So I've got some glasses in there, quite happy with that. Maybe we want to put some of these like wine goblet ones in. I can place those. Now what you can also do once it comes in, if I want to have a look at it, I can right click on it and you'll see it gives you some other options. I can say replace, reposition, so I can click on a reposition tool and it'll bring me in this little tool here. So there's my shelf, so I could actually bring it inside my shelf like that. So this is another way of doing it. This is the front view, so I want it on the bottom of my shelf, so I can click down like that and it'll put it on the base. It doesn't show you where this shelf is, so you've just got to have a look and see whereabouts you want it. But normally what I do is, if I'm going to do this, I will just place it roughly to where I want it, like that. And then I'll use this tool to position it inside the area that I want. And I'll say OK. And now what I can do is, it just makes it a little bit faster. If I zoom in and I can click on it, I can see that it's not quite on the glass. And then I'll go to the move tool and I'll move it up. And this is only going to be about 2 mil at a time. So I'm just going to move it till I can see the base of the glass. It's quite a tall glass. There we are. And down. And I'm happy with the way that glass is now sitting there. And I'll just array it exactly the same way as I did it before, but maybe this way we can array it this way along. So what I can do is I can say that. Let's make this one 25. That. I can group the items. Okay. And now while I've got that, let's see if it'll allow us to do this. This is something I haven't tried before. And it allows me to actually do it as a double or a triple group. So if I come here, let's click there, and let's just make that 25, like that. And now you'll see it's put all those in. So I don't have to do them individually, still grouped, insert. And now what it will do is it will actually populate and put all those glasses in for me. Okay. And now I can see that there has been a problem there. So what I could do is I can go back, I can click on this, and now I can say ungroup, just to show you. And now what happens is each glass has now become individual. Okay, so each glass is now an individual glass. So if I go to the back and I click on that glass, I can remove it. I don't have to worry about, but just make sure that when you click on it, you actually click on the glass so that you don't remove the whole cupboard. And if you can't quite get to it, just move it around, click on it, and you'll see now, click there, just by double clicking. Now you see what I did there. I didn't actually click that. I actually removed the back part of the cupboard. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. So what I need to do now is I need to go to File, Undo, and it'll bring it back for me. Okay. I think our render is probably done. Yes, that's right. It'll stop me from doing things. So in the render, if I make this bigger, you can see just literally what I've done on the render. So just by changing the physical side of how shiny they are, whatever, I can change what the effects are on that. So that gives you an effect of the lighting and everything coming through. Okay, so if I close that, I'm going to come back up to Tools. I just want to turn off that shadow there. And what I'm going to do is where the dynamic eye is, I just want to move it around so I can move a little bit more freely. Like that. And I can zoom in a little bit more like that. Okay, so what I want to do now is I just want to get rid of the glasses that I don't want. And again, if you make a mistake, just undo it. And you can delete it like that. So when I do my rendering now, I'll have glasses in there. It'll give me that effect that I want. I can come down here and I can put something else in if I wanted to. So let's say, for instance, I want to do, okay, we've got our walls. I'm just going to hide this wall while I work on it. It's going to be easier for us to see. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to put some other things in here. Maybe I wanted to put some jars or something in. You can do all that. You can literally just go in and you can place whatever you want. So for instance, if I wanted to put, let's have a look here, under here, I just wanted to go to, for instance, foods. And bottles and things like that. So you could place those in there. So if I wanted, for instance, let's just say I wanted to put a whiskey bottle there. And let's put another one. Yeah. That. Okay. And now what I can do is with these, I can right click on it and I can say reposition. And because I'm repositioning it, go into the cupboard. And again, if it doesn't know where you are, what your best bet is just literally just move it. Okay, just click on that and we can just put it in. And if you want to rotate it, again, you can just use your shift. It'll let you do it sideways. That comes in handy when you're doing wine racks and things like that. And you need to put some wine or something in and you want to rotate it. You can do it like that as well. So it makes it a little bit faster. So to go back a little bit. Down. Okay, to move this one forward a little bit. Move it this way. Go back 10. So you can sort of sit and move them wherever you want them. Now that one I'm actually going to move 30 this way. When the doors are closed, I want to make sure that I can still see the bottles inside. Okay, so you can do things like that. You can go further on. You can do under kitchen. You could put under utensils. You'll see that there's all sorts of little things. There's jars. There's all sorts of stuff like that. So maybe you want to put a couple of things down. I can put a bread basket, for instance, on the table on the top here. Maybe I want to put some jars or something in. Maybe put these little pots. Place those there. And if they're too big, again, everything can be changed. I can come over here, the height of those I want 250. And maybe the width I only want 250. 200. Something like that. And I can just move them into there. Okay, and then maybe there's something else that we want to put in. So maybe these little pots here, I want to put down this side over here. Okay, and maybe on this top over here, I'm going to put in an ice bucket. We're expecting some people coming over. So ice bucket over there. Further down. There's all sorts of different things. There's table settings. You can put a ban on the top if you want. I think if I go under utensils, you've got small appliances. So again, if you wanted to put something maybe over here, maybe we must put a little. See if they've got a nice coffee machine. There's one there. I'm going to put a coffee machine in. Place the coffee machine, and again, if it's not quite right, just take your shift button with your mouse press, and we can line it up like that. Put the coffee machine there. So you can actually start putting things in. You can make it look a little bit more. There's different coffee machines down here. You've got some bread makers. We've got maybe a little, see if we've got something like a little flat toaster. So we've got some different toasters. So if I put a toaster in, there, something like that. And then the other thing that you can also do is you can put plugs. So what happens really with, if we go back into, so I want to go in decor. If I come in over here and we go electronics, you'll see that it gives you all the like games and things like that. But we also have, let's have a look here if I can find them, like plug points and things like that, switches. Now I know some of them obviously aren't South African, but there's an easy way around that. So what I tend to do is I've created my own. So when I go into decor, I'm going to go right up to the top and I'm going to go into, it's in the base down here, favorites. I've actually got a whole load of things that I've created for my own system. These are all ones that have been created. So what I can do is if I want to go into favorites, I can actually just come in here and you'll see I've got sinks, I've got plugs. So if I go down and there's a plug in here, I can take this plug and I can just pop it on the wall. So I've created that just literally by bringing in an image and making a block and then saving it with mine on. The other way that you could try and do it, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It depends if you've got a picture of it. So the way that I would do that, at the top here, I go into reversed. I'm going to show you another little trick while we're here. And you'll see there's lots of little things that you can do. Like I've put in, for instance, some roller doors. So if I open up the roller door, I can actually bring that roller door in if I wanted it. I've got things like paints. If there's particular paints that I wanted to use, I can do that. I've got screens, I've got tiles. I've even put in some different types of artwork that I've brought in from the internet, so that if I want a particular picture or something on, I can do that. And then once I've done those, I actually bring those in and I save them into my favorites folder, and then I can actually use those. So for instance, like if I go back over here, let's go down to favorites. Under my favorites, I've got things like turned legs. I've got some stools. I've got some islands that I've built, some oven units, and I can keep going. I've got loads in here. So if I go down, let's say for instance slot walls that I've created. I can go down. I've got wine walls that I've created. That one I won't show you a preview because it was on the old one. Battens. I've got a bar, a fridge that I can use. Air conditioning. They have got some, but I wanted some other types, so I've been in and got those. So these are all things that I've brought in via SketchUp, or I've built them myself. I've got an iron beam, for instance, if I need a girder across inside the wall or anything like that. I've got different style of corbels. Even though we've got corbels, I maybe needed a different style corbel, which I've brought in. What else have we got here? I've got some different hoods that I've brought in, different styles that maybe we don't have in the catalog. I've made, or I've brought in my own hoods. I've got things like some sinks, some different types of sinks that I've brought in. I brought in like a butler sink and so on. So these are all things that you can add at a later stage. Once you get into Promob, you can actually go in and you can create your own things and put them in there as well. So if I go back to plugs, let's say I want another plug over here, drop that in over there. Okay, quite happy with where that's positioned. I don't need to change it. You'll see I've got some plugs on the wall now. And I could even, I think, let's just see if it'll allow me. Let's see what happens. If I go to materials and I want this to be maybe a silver, let's see what would happen if it will allow us to change it to maybe a bronze. That would look quite nice, or graphite. Graphite would look quite nice. Let's see if it will let me change it. The problem is if it does, it makes it just a block because it's already a picture. So just be aware that if you want to change something that you brought in as an image, it won't allow you to change it as a color. You'd have to find that color image on the internet or wherever and bring it in that color. If it's just a block or something, or a tile or something like that, yes, you can change it. But if it's got an actual image, like a photograph of something, then you won't be able to change the color. Okay, just bear that in mind. That's done. I'm happy with that. So what we've basically done is we've just created some different effects. So I'm going to minimize there, I'm going to minimize there. Let's go back, and I'm just going to do a smaller render, but we're going to do it from the other side. So I've already got one saved down here. I'm going to get it 2. Okay. Now remember, this wall that I had is still missing. So let's just put that wall back up and go back to dynamic view. And I'm just going to put in number 2. And let's make this render a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do is just to show you what you can do. You can do it at this size. I'm going to say okay, but what I want to do now is I want to show the space that we're going to now get. Okay. So that's the area that we're going to render. So let's give it a go. Render this. Okay. And let's go ahead. I'm just going to do a small render on professional. Let's go for it. Render. Last one was a little bit dark, so I'm going to make this one 1000. I'm going to make this one 500. And let's make the sky have a little bit of a color. There we go. It's going to come in from there. That looks fine. And render. Down here, you're going to see 2 of 5. Once it gets to 5, it then means it's uploaded all the information up to the cloud, and then it will start rendering. So again, we're rendering this a bit smaller, but it's to give you the effect or the idea of what it would look like. So you can see once it's actually brought it in, it'll look a little bit blurry because it's much smaller. So you keep it smaller, you'll see that the effect is now starting to look. You can see the glasses and things in there. So it's really just to give you an idea. The next video we'll actually go into more in depth on rendering, doing 360 renders and really making it look finished. But I'm going to leave this one here. I think this has gone on long enough, and we'll do another one. The next one we'll probably do might not be the render. We might go into doing the working drawings, and then after that we can come back to do the rendering, the costing, and then also I'd like to go through onto the cutting list to show people how that works as well. Okay, and again, thank you very much for watching.